What happens when the exact system designed to keep you safe is completely blind to the deadliest mistake you could possibly make? Welcome to a special report from the Human Error News Network. Today, we're looking at a harmless glitch in the human brain that, under the wrong conditions, turns absolutely catastrophic. Hit subscribe because you need to know how to spot this before it happens to you.
Now, you rely on safety protocols every single day, right? At work, at your kid's school, just out in your community. But think about this. Have you ever been on absolute autopilot, reached under the sink, and grabbed the completely wrong bottle? Of course you have. It's a glitch in the brain, just a momentary lapse in attention.
We all do it, and honestly, it's usually a totally harmless human error when you're just cleaning your own kitchen. But what we think we grab versus what we actually grab can be two very different things. When you take that exact everyday mental slip and put it into a highly structured professional environment, well, that's when things can cascade into an absolute disaster. Let's get into part 1, December 5th, 2025, Anatomy of a Disaster.
I want us to act as investigators and look closely at the facts of a very sobering case study out of Christchurch, New Zealand. The stakes here? Unbelievably high. Out of the 88 children this early childhood center was licensed for, 45 of them, kids aged just 3 to 5 years old, were taking part in a water slide activity. And get this, it was set up completely outside the center's gate in an unlicensed grassy area. 45 toddlers, relying entirely on the adults in charge.
The timeline here is chillingly fast. At noon, the activity starts with standard dishwashing liquid. Totally fine. But by 12:20, they run out. A teacher rushes inside to grab a refill, but inadvertently brings back a highly corrosive industrial sanitizer. And here's the crazy part. When the new liquid didn't bubble, the manager actually left the premises to go buy more soap at 12:27. Nobody stopped the activity. By 12:40, the nightmare became real.
So the crucial takeaway here is that this wasn't just a simple, single oops moment. It was a massive compounding system failure. We're talking unsafe storage of identically labeled bottles right next to each other. We have poor planning, literally zero risk assessment completed for the activity, using an unlicensed space. And the biggest red flag of all, multiple adults handled this industrial sanitizer, and nobody questioned the container. The warning signs were completely ignored.
The result is heartbreaking. By 12:40 p.m., the kids sliding through that caustic chemical started experiencing severe skin irritation and blistering. Ultimately, 5 children and 2 teachers had to be rushed to the hospital with serious chemical burns. It's an unthinkable outcome from what was supposed to be just a fun, routine Friday afternoon.
Which brings us to part 2, detect, prevent, and correct.
If you're finding this explainer helpful, share this special report with someone who manages a team, because we need to work together to detect, prevent, and correct these exact types of failures. Step 1, we have to detect visual hazards, like dangerously similar labels stored side by side. Step 2, prevent errors by making risk assessments or RAMs absolutely mandatory. And Step 3, correct the systemic blind spots that allow these risks to quietly grow in the background in the first place.
But what happens when the safety net itself breaks? Part 3, when regulators fail us.
Here's a massive plot twist for you. Detecting and correcting isn't just on the folks on the ground. It relies heavily on the watchdogs. And shockingly, the Ministry of Education, the primary regulator for early childhood education in New Zealand, had not conducted a full compliance assessment of this center since 2011. Let that sink in. 14 years. That is a gargantuan regulatory blind spot that left this entire environment incredibly vulnerable to normalized risks.
After the incident, WorkSafe stepped in and applied their enforcement decision-making model to figure out what went wrong. Their conclusion? They issued an improvement notice, sure, but they found the center not liable for breaching health and safety laws. They explicitly cited human error, rather than systemic negligence. They effectively treated a compounding, multi-level failure as a simple, innocent slip of the hand. It gets even more baffling. The ministry actually allowed the center to reopen the very next business day and, get this, investigate itself. Early childhood expert Dr. Sarah Alexander called this out immediately. She made a brilliant point, saying that asking a provider to investigate its own serious incident is like asking a pilot to investigate their own crash. It is fundamentally flawed, totally devoid of independence, and it severely limits any real accountability. Add the legal environment into the mix, and it gets even messier, because New Zealand's Accident Compensation Corporation covers personal injury. Civil lawsuits for compensatory damages are strictly prohibited.
Combine that with the fact that work-safe prosecutions require an incredibly high threshold of recklessness, and you're left with parents and victims having almost zero avenues for justice when a system fundamentally fails them.
So, where do we go from here? Part 4. Auditing your own environment.
Now, it is your turn to look hard at the systems you rely on every single day. Because assuming a process works just because it hasn't failed yet is a dangerously naive game to play. I want you to ask yourself right now, where are the similar bottles hiding in your workplace? Where is that one hidden risk that everyone on your team just walks past every single morning? And if a mistake does happen, is there a truly independent process to fix it? Or is your system just set up to investigate itself and sweep the dust under the rug?
The scariest part of human error is never the mistake itself. It's the invisible system that allows that mistake to reach the most vulnerable people in the room. If your safety net is actively designed to look the other way, who is actually catching you when you fall? Think about what other everyday routines might be masking catastrophic system failures right under your nose. This has been a special report from the Human Error News Network. Stay vigilant, because the next blind spot you blindly walk past could be the one that finally breaks the entire system.